Life feels complicated sometimes. We try to make good decisions. We want to be good people. We want to treat others right, handle our money well, and find some peace. But it's not always easy to know how. There's so much noise, so much conflicting advice. It can feel like we're just guessing our way through. And then you find this old book. It's called Proverbs. It's sitting right in the middle of the Bible. And it doesn't read like a history book or a set of strict laws. It reads more like a collection of notes from a wise old father to his son. It's full of short, memorable sayings. You might call them ancient life hacks. They are about how to live. Not just how to be religious, but how to navigate the messy, everyday stuff of being human. The book isn't promising a perfect, trouble-free life. It's honest about the world. It knows there are fools and crooks and that bad things happen, but it offers a path. It calls this path wisdom. And wisdom in Proverbs isn't about having a high IQ or knowing a lot of facts. It's a skill. It's the skill of living well, of making choices that lead to a good, solid, meaningful life instead of one that falls apart. It's about understanding how life works, a bit like how a good carpenter understands wood. He knows its grain, its strengths, its weaknesses. Wisdom is understanding the grain of the universe and working with it, not against it. So what can this ancient collection of advice really teach us about our daily lives today, with our smartphones and our stressful jobs and our complicated relationships? It turns out a lot. Like, human nature hasn't changed all that much. The things that made for a good life 3,000 years ago are pretty much the same things that make for a good life now. The whole book is built on a single, foundational idea. It says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom." That phrase can sound strange to us. Fear sounds negative, like being scared of a monster. But that's not really the meaning here. It's more about awe. It's about respect. It's the feeling you get when you stand at the edge of the Grand Canyon or look up at a sky full of stars. It's the humbling realization that you are not the center of the universe. There is something bigger, older, and wiser than you. This starting point is important because it sets our perspective straight. If we think we're the smartest person in the room, we can't learn anything. We become unteachable. And an unteachable person is what Proverbs calls a fool. A fool isn't someone who is unintelligent. A fool is someone who is arrogant, who trusts only their own opinion, and who scoffs at advice. We all know people like that. And if we're honest, we've all been that person at times. The fear of the Lord is the antidote to that. It's the humility that says, I don't have all the answers. I need guidance. It's the foundation upon which a wise life is built. Without that foundation, all the other advice is just a collection of nice tips that we'll ignore when it's inconvenient. Once that foundation is set, Proverbs gets incredibly practical. It dives right into the nuts and bolts of our daily interaction. And one of the biggest topics is our words. Proverbs is obsessed with the power of the things we say. It understands that our words can build things up or tear them down. They are never just neutral. And think about the destructive power of words. The book talks about gossip a lot. It says a whisper separates close friends. That's such a perfect picture. A little comment here, a shared secret there, and suddenly a strong relationship is full of suspicion and doubt. It's a quiet poison. How many friendships or office relationships have been ruined by a few careless words spoken behind someone's back? Proverbs warns us about this over and over. It also talks about lying. It says, "The Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in people who are trustworthy." This isn't just about big, dramatic lies. It's about the small ones, the exaggerations, the half-truths we tell to make ourselves look better or to get out of trouble. Each one erodes trust. It makes us into people who can't be relied on. And then there are harsh words. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. We see this every single day. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you can honk and yell, and the situation gets more tense. Or you can let it go. One response adds fuel to the fire, the other puts it out. The same is true in an argument with a partner or a child. A soft, calm response can completely change the direction of a fight. A sharp, angry one just guarantees it will get worse. Proverbs is full of this kind of simple psychological truth. But it's not all negative. The book is just as focused on the positive power of our words. Anxious hearts weigh a man down, but a kind word cheers him up. Think about that. We have the power to literally lighten someone's emotional load with just a few well-chosen words. A simple, "You're doing a great job," or "I'm here for you," can change someone's entire day. It costs us nothing, but it can be a lifeline to someone who is struggling. Our words can be a source of healing and encouragement. Proverbs also values the person who doesn't talk too much. Even a fool is thought wise if he keeps silent. In a world where everyone has an opinion and feels the need to share it instantly on social media, this is powerful advice. There is wisdom in listening more than we speak. There is strength in holding back a quick reactive comment. One proverb says, "He who answers before listening, that is his folly and his shame." How often do we do that? We're so busy formulating our response that we don't even hear what the other person is truly saying. Wisdom is about being a good listener. It's about seeking to understand before seeking to be understood. The daily practice of this one piece of advice could transform our relationships at home and at work. Beyond our words, Proverbs has a huge amount to say about work and money. This is where the book gets really down to earth. It's not about promising that if you're a good person, you'll get rich. It's about character. It's about how we approach our work and how we manage our resources. The book has a clear hero when it comes to work: the ant. Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise. The ant works hard. It doesn't need a boss standing over it. It prepares for the future. It's diligent. Diligence is a major theme. It's the idea of steady, consistent, honest effort. It's not about hustle culture and burning yourself out. It's about showing up every day and doing the work well. The hand of the diligent will rule, it says. This means that competence and hard work tend to lead to responsibility and success. It's a general principle of life. The opposite of the diligent person is the sluggard, or the lazy person. Proverbs has some surprisingly funny and sharp descriptions of the sluggard. He's the guy who says, "There's a lion outside" as an excuse not to go to work. He's the person who is too lazy to even bring his hand back to his mouth from his plate. These are exaggerations, of course, but they paint a picture of a person ruled by excuses and a lack of motivation. The book sees laziness not just as a bad habit, but as a destructive force that leads to poverty and ruin. It's a character flaw. And what about money? Proverbs is full of financial wisdom that sounds like it could have come from a modern financial advisor. It warns against get-rich-quick schemes. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. This is the principle of slow, steady investment and saving. It's not glamorous, but it works. It champions the idea of building wealth through honest, hard work, not through shortcuts or by taking advantage of others. It also has a very clear warning about debt. The borrower is slave to the lender. This is a stark and powerful image. When we are in debt, our freedom is limited. Our choices are controlled by our need to pay back what we owe. The book doesn't say all debt is evil, but it warns us to be incredibly careful. It sees debt as a dangerous trap that can easily take over a person's life. In a world of credit cards and easy loans, this is advice we desperately need to hear. But the financial wisdom of Proverbs isn't just about accumulation and avoidance of debt. It's also about generosity. This might seem like a contradiction, but it's not. The book presents a paradox. One person gives freely, yet gains even more another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. This isn't a magic formula. It's not saying, give away $1 and you'll get 2 back. It's describing a principle about the flow of life. A generous, open-handed person builds strong relationships, earns a good reputation, and lives with a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. A stingy, hoarding person isolates themselves and lives in fear of losing what they have. Generosity is part of a wise and healthy approach to money. It breaks the grip that money can have on our hearts. Of course, our daily lives are not just about our words and our work, they are about our relationships. And Proverbs is like a field guide to navigating the complexities of human connection. It has so much to say about choosing our friends, being a good spouse, and raising children. On friendship, the advice is direct. Choose your friends wisely. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. It's a simple truth. We become like the people we spend the most time with. If our friends are gossipers, we'll become gossipers. If our friends are ambitious and kind, they will pull us up. The book encourages us to find friends who will challenge us and make us better. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. A true friend isn't someone who just agrees with you all the time. A true friend is someone who is honest with you, even when it's hard. They help you see your blind spots. They sharpen you. And Proverbs reminds us to be that kind of friend in return. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. True friendship is tested, not when things are easy, but when they are hard. When it comes to marriage, the book is equally frank. It speaks of the incredible value of a good partner. Finding a good spouse is described as finding a great treasure. A good marriage is a source of strength and joy. But the book is also brutally honest about how bad a bad marriage can be. It has several verses about the misery of living with a quarrelsome or contentious spouse. Better to live on a corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. The point isn't to be sexist, the principle applies to either partner. A home filled with constant nagging, criticism, and conflict is a miserable place to be. The underlying message is that the character of the person you marry is one of the most important decisions you will ever make. It emphasizes finding someone who is wise, prudent, and kind, because those are the qualities that build a peaceful and lasting partnership. And for parents, Proverbs offers guidance that is both firm and loving. The goal of parenting, in Proverbs, is to raise a child into a wise and responsible adult. It speaks of the need for discipline and instruction. The famous line, "Spare the rod and spoil the child," is often misunderstood. The rod was a shepherd's tool, used for guiding and protecting the sheep, not just for hitting them. The principle is that children need boundaries. They need correction. They need to be taught the difference between right and wrong, wisdom and folly. Letting a child do whatever they want is not an act of love, it is an act of neglect. But this guidance must be done with love, with the goal of teaching, not just punishing. The aim is to train up a child in the way he should go, so that when he is old, he will have an internal compass to guide him. Underlying all these areas, our words, our work, our relationships, is the core topic of the book character. The Proverbs is fundamentally about the kind of person you are becoming. It's about integrity, humility, and self-control. It teaches that what you do in private is who you really are. Pride is seen as one of the most dangerous and foolish of all traits. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Why is pride so bad? Because it makes you stupid. A proud person cannot learn. They cannot admit they are wrong. They cannot apologize. They cannot take advice. Pride builds a wall around a person and isolates them from wisdom and from other people. It's the root of so much conflict and foolishness. The opposite of pride is humility. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. It's having an accurate view of your own strengths and weaknesses. A humble person is teachable. They can listen to criticism, they can learn from their mistakes. And, according to Proverbs, humility is the path to wisdom and honor. It's the person who is willing to learn who actually becomes wise. Another key aspect of character is self-control, especially when it comes to anger. A hot-tempered person stirs up conflict, but the one who is patient calms a quarrel. The book advises us to be slow to anger. It sees explosive, uncontrolled anger as a sign of foolishness. A person who can't control their temper is like a city whose walls are broken down. They have no defenses. They are vulnerable and cause damage to everyone around them. Learning to pause, to breathe, and to respond calmly instead of reacting in anger is presented as a mark of great strength and wisdom. This is incredibly relevant advice for a world full of road rage, online arguments, and high-stress situations. And finally, there's integrity. Honest scales and balances are from the Lord. This is about more than just business ethics. It's about being a whole person. It's about your words matching your actions. It's about being the same person in public and in private. A person of integrity is trustworthy. You can rely on them. Their "es" means yes, and their "no" means no. This kind of character is the bedrock of strong relationships, a successful career, and a clear conscience. It's the ultimate goal of the wise life. But what happens when things go wrong? Life is not a simple equation where hard work plus good character always equals success and happiness. Proverbs knows this. It acknowledges that there is injustice in the world. It speaks out repeatedly for the poor and the oppressed. Part of living a wise life, it argues, is to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves and to defend the rights of the poor and needy. A wise life is not a selfish life. It's a life that is concerned with justice and compassion for others. The book also gives us a framework for dealing with the uncertainty of the future. It encourages planning. The wise person thinks ahead, like the ant storing up food for the winter. The plans of the diligent lead to profit. It's foolish to live only for today with no thought for tomorrow. We should save money, take care of our health, and make wise plans for our families and careers. But there's a crucial balance. Alongside all the advice about planning, there's this verse, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." This is a dose of humility mixed with trust. It tells us to do our part. We should make the best plans we can, using all the wisdom we have. But we must also hold those plans loosely. We have to accept that we are not ultimately in control. Life will throw us curveballs. Things won't always go the way we planned. Wisdom is found in the balance of doing our best and trusting that there is a purpose and a direction beyond our own understanding. This can be a great source of peace. It frees us from the anxiety of trying to control everything. We do what we can, and we trust the rest. So, when you put it all together, what does the book of Proverbs really teach us about daily life? It teaches us that the small things matter. The words we choose, the way we work, the friends we keep, the little choices we make between honesty and dishonesty, between patience and anger, between pride and humility. These are the building blocks of our lives. It gives us a very practical, non-magical path. It's a path of diligence, integrity, and self-control. It's a path that values listening over speaking, generosity over greed, and humility over arrogance. It's not a set of rules that promises to make you rich or famous. It's a guide to becoming a certain kind of person, a person who is wise, steady, trustworthy, and kind. Reading Proverbs is like having a conversation with a very wise, very direct, and very loving grandparent. It doesn't sugarcoat things. It will call you a fool when you're acting like one, but it does so with the goal of helping you find a better way. It points out the pits in the road so you don't fall into them. It shows you the path that, over the long haul, leads to a stable, peaceful, and meaningful existence. In our complex modern world, this ancient wisdom is more relevant than ever. It cuts through the noise and reminds us of the things that are timelessly true. That character is more important than reputation. That relationships are more valuable than possessions. And that a life built on a foundation of humility and integrity is a life well lived. It's a slow, patient process. It's a daily walk, but it's a walk worth taking.